Hello everyone, and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7 Custom Project Set 2. We are already at the halfway point of this series with the third car here, the Ferrari 430 Scuderia. This car has appeared in the past of Gran Turismo, specifically in Gran Turismo 5 and 6, and it was one of my favourite cars to use in its performance class. This is one car that I really hope Polyphony adds back to Gran Turismo 7 officially, but for now I made this build to sort of bring it back into the game. Now, for those who don't know, the 430 Scuderia is essentially a tuned version of the Ferrari F430. Think of it like the Nismo variants of the Nissan GTR or the STI versions of Subaru cars. It's a road-legal, higher performance version of the F430 released a year after the standard car. As with all these builds, the livery you're seeing on this car was made by another player in the community, and I've left a link to it in the description for you all to download and use yourselves. Be sure to send the original creator some support from this video. One thing to note with the livery on this car is that I did change the wheels to the BBS RIA wheels and then painted them with the light gold metallic colour from Dodge. I did this because most images of the car that I saw had gold wheels fitted. There were some with other colours, but most of the images I saw were gold. So if you don't want to do this, you don't have to. It is completely optional, but if you want to copy exactly what I've done, then you'll want to change those wheels. Now let's go to the tuning shop and we can fit our custom parts. So in the tuning shop, we're not going to need a ton of parts because this is not a massive overhaul to the base car. It is still a road legal car. It is a minor performance upgrade. It's not like we're going from a road legal car to a race spec version. So we will need a few parts. In the sports section, you're going to want the sports air filter, and you're going to want the weight reduction stage 1. It comes with sports hards by default, and I've left them on this car for this build. In the club sports section, you are going to need the ballast. In semi-racing, you'll want the semi-racing silencer. You will want the semi-racing clutch and flywheel, and you will want the fully customizable LSD, and the fully customizable manual transmission. In the racing section, we are going to want the fully customizable suspension. And in the extreme section, I have the carbon ceramic brakes fitted. This is largely just to get the right caliper color for the car because it has red calipers and I like the look of the carbon discs. You can go for the regular discs if you want. So technically maybe a little unrealistic, but it makes the car look accurate. So plus, who doesn't like better brakes? And the intermediate tires, only if you want to take it to Le Mans, not essential for this build. But if you want to take it to Le Mans, then I recommend getting intermediate tires. And you need nothing from the ultimate section. So that's everything we need for this build. Let's head back to the garage and we can start tuning the car. I'll just head into the car setting sheet here. So before we get into the tuning of the car, I would like to note that the real car has 510 horsepower, where my build only has 509 horsepower. Again, this was as close as I could get without fitting some part that wouldn't make sense for the build, and then massively limiting it. For the sake of 1 horsepower, I think this will be okay. Also worth noting here is that I originally copied the stats from Gran Turismo 6 exactly for this build, but after some testing, I decided that it just didn't feel right. The settings for Gran Turismo 6 didn't fully translate well over into Gran Turismo 7, so what I've done here is I've created 2 setting sheets. One is my build I'll be showing you, and the other is the Gran Turismo 6 version. You can feel free to try both if you want to, but I would recommend trying this first version, which is the one I made mostly from scratch, as I think it's a superior option. So I'm going to go through the settings I have for my build here, and then once I've gone through everything, I'll show you the differences that I have in the original Gran Turismo 6 version. It's all just in the suspension and differential because everything else is the same across both builds. But we will start with my first build here. So for the tires, we have left it on the sports hard tires. For our suspension, I have 95mm on the front and 150mm on the rear for the body height. For anti-roll, I have 5 on front and rear. For the compression on the dampers, we have 32 front and rear with 43 front and rear for the expansion. For natural frequency, I have 2.30 on the front and 2.60 on the rear. For a negative camber angle, we have 2.0 front and rear. And for the toe angle, we have 0.10 towed out on the front and 0.25 towed in on the rear. For a differential, I have gone for initial torque at 5, acceleration sensitivity on 20, and braking sensitivity on 10. These are all on the rear because the car is rear-wheel drive. We can't adjust the front values because it's not front-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. The downforce is unaltered on this build. The ECU is untouched. For the ballast, I've added 16 kilos and I've put that all the way to the front to get us closer to 50-50 weight distribution and to get us up to 1,350 kilos, which is the car's real-world weight. For our transmission, we have the manual transmission fitted, and it is manually adjusted to the gear ratios that you're seeing on screen now. These are the only thing that I have left in the build from Gran Turismo 6. Everything else I changed somehow, but I think the gear ratios work really well. So like always, start with the 6th gear, work your way up until the first number before the slash is accurate to what I have on screen. Once they all match what I have, then you adjust the final gear to what I have here, and your second number after the slash will be accurate to what I have on screen here. So, for the rest of the parts, you can see what we have fitted. We've got the sports air cleaner, semi-racing silencer, carbon brakes, our semi-racing clutch and flywheel up here, and our weight reduction stage 1. So that is all the parts that you'll need for this build. I'm going to quickly hop over to the other setting sheet and show you the differences. So this is the Gran Turismo 6 version of the build. This takes the exact settings from that game and translates them over into this game. I don't think it quite works just because of the physics changes that have happened between games, etc, etc. So, but if you want to try it, it is here, and I will show you it now. The tires are the same. The body height is 90 on the front and 120 on the rear. Anti-roll is set to 1 front and rear. The compression on the dampers is 20 on front and rear, with 30 front and rear for the expansion. Natural frequency is 1.85 on the front and 2.15 on the rear. Negative camber angle is 0.5 on the front and 1.5 on the rear. And the toe angle is none on the front and 0.60 toed in on the rear. The differential settings are 5 for initial torque, 20 for acceleration sensitivity, and brake sensitivity is 10. Everything else is identical across both builds, so like I said, you can try this one if you want, but I found it didn't really work that well for me. You might like it, so it's here if you want to try it, and this would be accurate to what the car is like in Gran Turismo 6, but I think the version I've created is a better car to drive. I think it controls better, so all that's left to do now is take this car out to the track and see what it can do. So, how does this car perform in practice? Well, it feels great to drive. Of course, it's a Ferrari, so you expect it to be great by default. You expect it to be fast and competitive, which this car definitely is. It isn't a massive increase over the stock F430, like I said, but the changes made really go a long way to making this car feel even more incredible than it already does, at least to me. Like the Aventador Mura homage video from earlier in the set, if you don't like the standard F430, then this build probably won't blow you away. But, to be honest, this is quickly becoming one of my favourite road cars to drive at the 600 performance points level in this game, which is quite fitting given how much I love this car from the previous Gran Turismo games. So, that'll do it for this video. Let me know what you thought of this build. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. Thank you all for watching, stay tuned in the coming days for the remaining builds, and have a great day.